Bonjour, Kinamagi and Nene Ireland edition of Cuz, and welcome to this episode of Social Studies Explorer. Today's episode, Chapter 7, Section 5, the Bill of Rights. We left off last time talking about the ratification of the United States Constitution, and one of the key arguments against it was the lack of a Bill of Rights. A promise was made that the Bill of Rights would be drafted and added to the Constitution. Today, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution are what are known as the Bill of Rights. A Bill of Rights is what the people are entitled to against every government, and what no just government should refuse or rest on inference. Thomas Jefferson. Why are the Bill of Rights so important to the American people? Well, to begin with, we had just lived underneath a king and had to fight a war to get away from him. Kings don't necessarily follow the Bill of Rights. There were things such as quartering, unfair rules that they really wanted to deal with. The second question, do we need the Bill of Rights today? Yes. And which amendment do you consider the most important? Well, you'll get a chance to determine that one as we go. Bill of Rights. Even after the Constitution was authorized, many people still thought the central government would have too much power. The Bill of Rights was added to the Constitution to guarantee the people of the United States that a strong central government was not a danger to their liberty. Some states insisted that a Bill of Rights be added to the Constitution. They proposed more than 200 amendments. James Madison weeded out the duplicates. Then he wrote up the most important ideas in 17 proposals. Congress sent 12 of these proposals to the states. In the end, 10 were approved. In 1791, they became the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. They are called the Bill of Rights. They outline some basic rights of citizens, such as freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and freedom of religion. The Bill of Rights edition was ratified in 1791, 3 years after the Constitution went into effect, and remains, to this day, one of the most important documents we live by. Study the simple list below to get to know the importance of each one and how it affects your own life. Here are them. Freedom of speech and religion. We have the right to say within reason anything we want without fear of the government punishing us. Now, freedom of speech does not mean freedom of consequence. If you yell fire in a crowded theater, you're going to get arrested. You can't claim, well, I have the right to say it, because again, it's within reason. And also, if you threaten someone, you're still going to get arrested. But you could walk around and saying boo to whatever government policy, and the government cannot punish you. However, your employer, or in your case, your parents and guardians could. Freedom of religion is the idea that you have the ability to worship how you please or choose to not worship at all. This one has been dragged out, and it was in the late 20th century before some of our native peoples truly had their freedom of religion. Number 2, right to possess arms. Now, there is a consistent debate about this to this day about what the Second Amendment exactly does to limit certain weapons. There is a part mentioned in there about a well-regulated militia, but this is an issue that is consistently in the courts. Nobody seems to disagree that people should be allowed to have weapons for protection and weapons for hunting. However, there is disagreement over whether you need to drive around an aircraft carrier. No, that one doesn't generally happen, so I picked it. Staying out of the politics. Number 3, quartering of soldiers prohibited during peacetime. Quartering means they literally might knock on your door and say, hey, yeah, these soldiers are living here, get out. There's a big problem in places like Boston prior to the Revolutionary War. Fourth Amendment, freedom from arrest without a warrant. cops have to have probable cause or a signed warrant to take you into custody. Fifth Amendment prohibits punishment without legal procedures. And the most well-known one is you do not have to testify against yourself. You can invoke your Fifth Amendment privileges and not say anything. 6, right to a public and speedy trial. It has been attempted over the centuries to do things like leave somebody in jail for 10 years before giving them a trial. That is unconstitutional. Although sometimes it seems to be dragged out a little longer than it needs to be, but there are, particularly for American citizens, safeguards put into place. A speedy trial doesn't mean that it's a 5-minute thing. Some trials do drag out over the course of almost a year. 7, right to a trial by jury. What this means is if arrested, I would have the right to ask for a trial by jury. A jury can be anywhere from 6 to 12 people, selected by the prosecution and defense, made usually of people in that community. To be found not guilty or to have a hung jury, you only need to convince one that you didn't do it. Whereas with a bench trial, it's either convince the judge or you lose. Number 8, prohibits cruel and unusual punishment. That's exactly as it says. We can't make you crawl with a 2,000-pound stone across the country, but considered cruel. Doing things like, that you see in movies generally fall under the, you can't do that. Can't cut off fingers and toes or an eye for an eye. Those things are not allowed. Number 9, assures recognition of rights that people may not have but listed in the Bill of Rights. And number 10, the powers not given to the United States are reserved to the states or to the people. So the Constitution doesn't say how to set speed limits. So the states get to do that within certain reason. You can see on this next page some activities you could choose to do as you want to go. These are not ones that we're going to necessarily do unless we decide to do them in class. We're going to wrap up today with a musical number. This should be familiar to you, and that's okay.
Well, the Constitution took days and nights, but the writer still had to go look at it twice. Cause the states that reviewed it said, here's some advice. It should guarantee freedom, yeah, that would be nice. So the founder said, alright, and wrote the Bill of Rights. Yep, the first 10 amendments are the Bill of Rights. Well, the Constitution took days and nights, but the writer still had to go look at it twice. Cause the people reviewed it said, here's some advice. It should guarantee freedom, yeah, that would be nice. So the founder said, alright, and wrote the Bill of Rights. Yep, the first 10 amendments are the Bill of Rights. Number 1 says we can worship as we please. We can have meetings, large assemblies. We can write what we want, it's called the freedom of press. What we feel we can say out loud, we can express.
Yes, concerned about securing your house and your farm. Through Amendment 2, you have the right to bear arms. In order to be free, do you get the picture? Each state has the right to form its own militia.
Number 3 says no soldiers in homes. The government can't just force you to loan your own private house so their soldiers can sleep, especially not in times of peace.
The 4th Amendment is sure to get applause. No searches or sieges without probable cause. But when there is belief that a crime has been done, a warrant can be ordered then to search someone.
Then on to the 5th Amendment, no need to tell the government things that might send you to jail. You cannot be accused of the same crime twice. That would put you in a double jeopardy, it's not right. Well, the Constitution took days and nights, but the writer still had to go look at it twice. Cause the states that reviewed it said, here's some advice. It should guarantee freedom, yeah, that would be nice. So the founder said, alright, and wrote the Bill of Rights. Yep, the first 10 amendments are the Bill of Rights. Well, the Constitution took days and nights, but the writer still had to go look at it twice. Cause the people reviewed it said, here's some advice. It should guarantee freedom, yeah, that would be nice. So the founder said, alright, and wrote the Bill of Rights. Yep, the the first 10 amendments are the Bill of Rights.
Number 6 gives 6 rights to the accused, like the right to know which law you might have abused. It gives the right to a fair and public trial, your own defense counsel, you know there's no denial.
I'll tell you 7 is simple when a trial is civil, meaning that no one in the dispute is a criminal. You can ask for a jury in these cases too. Usually they're over money somebody wants to sue.
For the 8th Amendment, we compliment our government. It won't allow cruel or unusual punishment. Face the judge's hammer and end up in the slammer. You won't pay excessive bail in any given manner.
All the rights that we have, says Amendment 9, cannot be confined only to these written lines. Just because a freedom isn't here on this list, the government cannot say it does not exist.
What was meant when the last of the 10 was written? Government only has power it is given. In order to be equal, power not listed in the Constitution shall be given to the people.
Well, the Constitution took days and nights, but the writers still had to go look at it twice, cause the states that reviewed it said, here's some advice. It should guarantee freedom, yeah, that would be nice. So the founders said, alright, and wrote the Bill of Rights. Yep, the first 10 amendments are the Bill of Rights. Well, the Constitution took days and nights, but the writers still had to go look at it twice, cause the people reviewed it said, here's some advice. It should guarantee freedom, yeah, that would be nice. So the founders said, alright, and wrote the Bill of Rights. Yep, the first 10 amendments are the Bill of Rights. Bill of Rights, the Bill of Rights. The first 10 amendments are the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights, the Bill of Rights. The first 10 amendments are the Bill of Rights. Bill of Rights, the Bill of Rights. The first 10 amendments are the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights, the Bill of
And that wraps up our discussion of Chapter 7, Section 5. At this point, you should return to the Google Classroom and answer the questions provided there. If you have any further questions, please reach out to us during class time. Have a minute, Gijigad, Minwa, Mama P.